Oh, hey, didn't see you there. Well, good morning, guys. Kind of doing a little bit different video today. Rather than focusing on doing my own roast, I decided just to try out like another coffee that I might seem to like. So today, we're actually checking out Blue Bottle. Blue Bottle was, I guess, one of my favorite places to go. When I visit Japan, I just wanted to check out all the different specialty coffee places, and then Blue Bottle was just one of the staples, so sort of grown to like Blue Bottle over time. So actually today we're checking out the Beta Blend. The Beta Blend is actually a mixed coffee, but we'll talk about it more over. So as you can tell from the name, the Beta Blend is a blend between two different types of coffees. First type of coffee that they decided to blend in is a Costa Rica. It's a honey process, and then the other coffee that they decided to do is a Burundi. So the Burundi coffee is a bourbon. It's one of the natural heirlooms that kind of grows in that region in Burundi, Africa. And it's a wash coffee. It's also a pretty dense coffee grown at 1800 meters. Now, the Costa Rica, the processing is a little bit different because honey processing. So honey processing is pretty close to what a natural would be. However, rather than keeping the whole cherry around the seed, they actually kind of pulp the cherry, leaving with a little bit of the mucilage on the seed as they dry the coffee. So it's a red Katwai. So Katwai is actually a mutation of bourbons and typicas. So it first starts off with a bourbon. So they take the bourbon and then they would actually farm it in Brazil. Now in Brazil, there's this region called Catura, and that's where they planted the bourbon, and then it naturally mutated to be a lot shorter, more bushier, but also larger yield for coffee. There's like another hybrid blend between typicas and bourbon. Now that hybrid blend is kind of a natural mutation of the two, and they become a Mundo Novo. Now, to get the Katwai, they blended the Catura and Mundo Novo together to become the Katwai. Now there's different varieties of Katwai, so red, yellow, and even orange. The one used in the Costa Rican coffee is a red Katwai. Now, as we go for the honey processing, the honey processing is pretty close to what they would do for a natural. As in, for general naturals, they would leave the whole coffee cherry intact and then they dry it out. Now, for natural processing, it would actually kind of pulp it using a machine and then leave some mucilage on the seed as it's drying. So this kind of tends to like risk a chance of fermentation on the coffee bean. However, if done correctly and properly, there is a bit of honey sweetness to the coffee. So for this, they use a style of white honey processing. So there's different kind of types of honey processing within that process. So it's from white to yellow to black and then gold. The colors divide the process with how much mucilage you want to keep up on the coffee bean. So mucilage is just the fruit left on the coffee as it's kind of drying out. So white is the least amount of mucilage, and then yellow to gold and black. So the more mucilage that you have left to dry on the coffee, you risk more chance of fermentation, but you have more flavor of that honey still intact because of that mucilage. It's also a variety grown at 1900 meters, so they're both pretty dense coffees. So as the Burundis are washed, the Tarrazu is a white honey process, so they're actually pretty similar in processing. I would expect that the Costa Rican is just a little bit more wild in flavor, but it should be kind of the backing behind, I'd say, the white peach that they describe it as. Okay, so kind of the flavor profile that Blue Bottle likes to give the coffee is that it's candied orange, milk chocolate, and white peach. For the Burundi, Blue Bottle likes to give the flavor profile that has pineapple, lemon balm, butter pecan. For the Costa Rica, they give it like a lemon zest, maple, and cherry. I think this blend kind of molds together pretty well, giving that sort of flowery, like fruity kind of taste, but it's also like a nice sweet aftertaste. Generally for me, what I've noticed is that it definitely has that like citrus-like flavor up front, and then it sort of mellows out, and then towards the end you taste that I guess that they would call it that white peach. Yeah, well, let's just get to brewing then. So generally for most of my coffees, I like to do sort of like a lighter ratio of coffee to water. Usually it'd be maybe like 13 grams per 250 milliliters. For this one, even though they like to say that it's kind of more of a developed medium roast, I generally like lighter roast to medium roast, so I find this coffee to be pretty good for what they describe it to be. However, I kind of like to have it like a little bit more coffee, like really that sort of like citrusy and sweetness really pops like at the higher ratios. So right now I'm just doing 15 grams to 250 milliliters. And I think we're done grinding. So I guess a little bit about filters. Well, at least my favorite type of filter is a paper filter. There's just nothing that you can really kind of replicate using a paper filter. Filters like a lot of the oils out of the coffee, makes it a really clean cup. However, using a lot of paper filters isn't the most sustainable thing. So I kind of switch in between cloth filters and metal filters. Cloth filters kind of get buildup of a lot of oils over time, and it really slows down the pour down. And it also, you have to grind a lot coarser, and you have to use a lot more coffee to kind of achieve that same taste. However, for metal filters such as this one, I find it to be pretty similar to a paper filter. However, you still get some of the oils left over in the coffee. Kind of makes it a little bit more of a bolder, more thicker cup compared to a paper filter. However, I think it's pretty close, and being reusable and rewashable is definitely a plus. So there's about 15 in here. Going in for kind of the bloom. Generally, bloom is sort of about twice the weight of water to the coffee that's in there. And you just kind of wait for 30 seconds. Definitely a lot of aromas coming out of the coffee. Very much that flowery, citrusy smell. Just slowly pouring every now and then until you reach your brew rate. I would say at least by 1 minute you should be at 70%. That's about it. And then I sort of like to stir just to knock out the extra beans from the side of the filter. And then it also helps create a flatbed for the pour down or the drawdown. I know, very riveting. Okay, so we've kind of reached around 3 minutes, kind of generally for most brews. You can see that, you know, not the most flattest bed in the world, but you know, it'll do. And then you got your nice black cup of coffee. Yeah, so with the drawdown, you just want to make sure that when you're brewing coffee, it brings at about maybe around 3 minutes. Can go 30 seconds over, 30 seconds under. If you kind of want to have a lot more of a sour coffee, you want to go for a little bit of a faster drawdown. If you want more of a bitter coffee, you would want to kind of keep the drawdown a little bit slower. So kind of to adjust the rate of the drawdown, you just adjust the grind settings. So coarser for faster, finer for a lot slower. Brewed it pretty nice today. As you can see from the video of the filter, kind of with hand grinders or kind of cheaper grinders, you can't always get the most consistent grind size. So even though there is like bigger particles to the top, there's much finer and mixed particles at the bottom. But it's still pretty decent at its job. It's just the flow rate for the coffee just might change a little bit. So I kind of have it at a setting to where I'd like it to be, and drawdowns and the coffee brew usually ends about like 3 minutes to 3 minutes and 30 seconds. A very clean cup, even though from the metal filter. You definitely get a lot of like that nice chocolatey like sweetness from the cup. Yeah, definitely not too dark. It's a very drinkable coffee on its own. You get some of that acidity from, I would suspect, mostly from the Burundi part of the blend. And you get a lot of that chocolatiness and nuttiness from the Katwai, the Costa Rica part. So from what I've gotten from the email, I emailed Blue Bottle, their customer service, and then kind of asked them about their roast profile and then information about the coffee. So generally, the beta blend, they tell me is that they sort of change the styles of coffee to which season we're in or which year. So which varieties that are in stock, they would create their own beta blend to make it similar to what they've made the past years. This is my first time actually tasting their beta blend for this year, and it's pretty nice. Like I said, it's like a really light coffee, not too heavy. Medium roast aside, it's pretty nice. That's all I can say. Definitely, at least for this cup, I'm getting a lot of the more like chocolatey and nuttiness of the flavor. And then at the end, like I'm getting the citrusy. Yeah. I guess it sort of changes the way I brew the coffee. I've just been sort of adjusting my grind every now and then just to get something that I'd like. So I think with this grind setting, I kind of went a little bit coarser than what I usually do. Since it's a bit of a fresher coffee, the drawdown and the bloom tended to be a little bit longer. So if the brew is taking a little bit too long, you can kind of coarsen out the grind setting, and then you can have it flow down a lot quicker. So yeah, it's pretty good. Thanks for watching the video. This has been a Blue Bottle Beta Blend for True Simps.